Yeah, this one I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in this video. China banned tutoring. Now it's $500 per hour. Like, it makes no sense at all. Why would you ban tutoring out of all things? Sounds insane. Oops. By Dr. Jonathan. Okay,
China's
hold on.
tutoring ban
Okay, so China bans tutoring. Now it's $500 per hour by Jonathan Tam. Yeah, okay, let's get it.
China's tutoring ban revealed a deep sociological paradox. $500 per hour. That's what Chinese families are now paying for a single tutoring session. Not because the tutor is the best in the world, but because hiring them is a crime. In 2021, when
Again, this totally seems insane to me. Okay, we'll consider it, but yeah.
China banned its $100 billion tutoring industry overnight, I knew exactly how this would end.
What?
I'm John, a sociologist who studies education, and I'd already seen the case study from Korea's
This sounds
identical
fake,
ban in
honestly.
1980. The pattern was clear. When you ban tutoring, you don't stop it. You just make it 10 times more expensive and accessible only to the wealthy. 5 years later, that's exactly what happened. The goal was common prosperity.
Right, what? So basically, the reason is like give a even playing field, but why? Yeah, literally holding your country back just so people can be on the same level. Like, imagine if this kid can be like a future engineer, but you need to bring him down to someone else's level, and then your country is worse off. This is so stupid. Absolutely
Study
stupid.
from Korea's identical ban in 1980. The pattern was clear. When you ban tutoring, you don't stop it. You just make it 10 times more expensive and accessible only to the wealthy. 5 years later, that's exactly what happened. The goal was common prosperity. Instead, the middle class got priced out completely. Why?
Insane.
Because of three social forces: an education squid game, economic anxiety, and 2,000 years of cultural DNA that says education is survival. Here's the question: how did a policy designed to help families
Exactly. Like, isn't China one of the countries where is like they they respect like education a lot, and yet you ban tutoring?
make inequality worse? And why did Korea's experience in 19 policy designed to
Right?
help families as education is survival? Here's the question: how did a policy designed to help families make inequality worse? And why did Korea's experience in 1980 provide a roadmap for the challenges China faces today? To see how that prediction played out, we have to go back to the moment.
You know, how the one child policy like cooked China is pretty funny. Like like bro, lawmakers do not think of the future at all. Like I see it in different countries, they have rules that today you think this is so stupid, and yet they don't change it. Like it made sense, like there's a lot of laws that make sense like back then, but then you look at them now and you're like, they need to change that, straight up causing problems, but they don't change it.
The policy was first announced. July 24th, 2021, the Chinese government releases what they call the Double Reduction Policy. All for profit tutoring for students in kindergarten through grade 9 must convert to nonprofit. No tutoring on weekends or holidays, foreign investments banned. There was no warning. Seemingly overnight, the rules of the game changed. The government's
Wow.
goals were clear and frankly noble. They wanted to reduce the academic burden on kids. They wanted to ease the financial stress on families who were spending an average of 233,000 yuan per child on education. They wanted to address the falling birth rate, and they wanted to promote common prosperity, a more equal society. The immediate market adjustment was quick and significant. TAL Education, one of the biggest tutoring companies, dropped over 70% in a single day. New Oriental
Mhm.
lost 90% of its market cap and laid off 60,000 employees. Within 5 months, over 80% of tutoring institutions had closed. Millions of tutors suddenly needed a career change. About
Great. Now you a law put in place to bring more prosperity brought more joblessness. So yeah, the opposite basically.
17 of 20 tutoring institutions closed within months. The ban whacked the mole. But here's the thing about whack a mole: when you whack one mole, it doesn't die, it just pops up elsewhere. This is a classic
Mm.
problem for any government. When the official stores are closed, the demand doesn't just go away, it just moves into hidden places where it's harder to see. This black market emerged not as a storefront, but as a whisper. Tutors disguised as domestic helpers, secret WeChat groups, rotating locations to avoid detection. To understand these dynamics, we need a framework, a theory that explains why a ban almost guarantees a price explosion. Sociologist Fenggang Yang studied the effects of strict state regulation and developed what he calls the triple market theory. He argued that when governments try to control or ban something people want, the market doesn't disappear. It splits into three tiers. The red market is the legal visible market mentioned earlier. The gray market is semi-legal, tutors operating in a legal gray zone. The black market is fully illegal. Getting caught
Yeah.
means fines up to 100,000 yuan. Yang's prediction was
Oh,
simple. When the government shrinks the red
I
market,
don't know what the
the gray and
conversion
black
mean that.
markets expand to fill the demand gap. And that's exactly what happened. Centers closed, but total spending increased as families moved underground. The price explosion was immediate. What used to cost 5,600 yuan per year now costs 15,000 yuan for just 5 hours. Shanghai
Mm.
families are reporting annual tutoring bills of over 100,000 yuan. That's nearly 20 times the pre ban cost. The government worked to make the rules
Man.
stronger. In December 2022, they pledged to better manage hidden tutoring. By September 2023, fines went up to 100,000 yuan. But the Ministry of Education admitted that hidden tutoring has seriously undermined reform. Why is monitoring these activities so difficult? Because tutoring in private homes leave no digital trail. It's word of mouth networks. Parents and tutors are mutually incentivized to hide. The government can't monitor millions of homes. By August 2024, the government began making the rules work better. They are finding more balanced ways to manage tutoring while being more sensitive to market demands. Tutoring licenses increased by 11.4%, the first increase since the ban. The ban achieved its surface goal, but parents kept paying more than ever, just underground. Why? Because the ban attacked the symptom, not the root cause. And three social forces made this outcome inevitable.
And also zero sum gauntlets.
Let's talk about the Gaokao, China's single college entrance exam that determines everything. In 2025, over 13.3 million students took the Gaokao. That's roughly the entire population of Pennsylvania, every single person in the state, competing for college spots. But here's the problem:
Wow.
there aren't 13.3 million spots at good universities, not even close. The top tier is called the 985 universities. That's 39 universities like Peking University and Tsinghua. The admission rate? Between 1.6 to 2%. Now picture a
Oh,
high school with
yes.
1,500 students, 50 classrooms of 30 students each. Out of that entire school, only 30 students would get into a 985 university. That's
Bro.
less than one student per classroom. The second tier is the 211 universities, 112 schools total. Their admission rate is around 3.13%. Using that same school of 1,500 students, about 47 would get in, still less than one per classroom. If you put
Yeah.
985 and 211 together, your odds are basically 1 in 50. This isn't
1 in
about
50.
being good enough,
Eve.
it's about being better than 98% of everyone else. Now, why does that matter? Because the economic states are survival level. Elite university graduates earn 33% more in their first job compared to their non elite peers. But here's the thing: that 33% isn't a one time bonus. It's a launching pad. Every raise, every promotion builds on that gap. Research from the National Bureau
Mm.
of Economic Research puts the elite graduate wage premium at 28 to 45%. That's
It's so different to South Africa. Like in South Africa, even if you graduate university, like even like in the top universities, we are currently like having a problem of university graduates being unemployed. So yeah, pretty rough. Meanwhile, in China, nah, they'll get you a job.
the number parents are calculating with. But that 28 to 45% is a first job premium. The same research found it declines as careers progress because employers eventually learn who can actually do the work, regardless of the
Mm.
university name. The credential fades and performance takes over. Granted, the gap does widen again later if the elite grad performs, but that's a big if in today's job market. So millions of parents are making a rational calculation based on a number that shrinks.
Yeah, so even if it like drops off later, getting the getting the start faster is still great. And then it's basically up to the the individual to like do better and then get promoted more and get better jobs.
But nobody tells them that. And even if you did,
Meanwhile, here it's like you graduate and then they say you need 5 years of experience to do an entry level job.
rational calculation based on a number that shrinks, but nobody tells them that. And even if you did, would it matter? When 98% of the people don't get in, the perception of the premium is the premium. Demand for any competitive edge becomes non negotiable. Price increases don't reduce demand when the stakes are this high. And here's the rational calculation parents are making. If spending 100,000 yuan on tutoring gives my child even a 5% chance at getting into a 985 school, the lifetime earnings make it worth it. And when competition is as
Mhm.
intense as it is in China, when the difference between success and failure is measured in decimal points, parents will pay any price. The government banned tutoring to ease the burden, but the Gaokao remained. The number of elite university spots remained. The wage premium for elite graduates remained. Tutoring simply became more expensive for everyone. Now, the Gaokao used to be the end of the struggle. Today, it's just the entry fee for a job market that's going through big challenges. Quick plug, if you want more social cultural deep dives like this, please sub.
Economic anxiety. Yeah, everyone's having that. Every country's having that.
The credential inflation is accelerating. Back in the 2000s, 90% of fresh college graduates found a job right away. Today, it's dropped to somewhere between 70 to 80%. In 2023, there were
Ooh.
11.58 million graduates competing for jobs. In 2025, that number is expected to hit 12.2 million. Parents are facing a
Oh, it
new
keeps
fear.
increasing.
Even a top university might not be guaranteed a job anymore. Here's how desperate it's gotten. In the 2026
Wait, but what date was that? Because I've been hearing China's population keeps like decreasing
between 70 to 80%. In
like to a
2023,
worrying
there were
level.
11.58 million graduates competing for jobs. In 2025, that number is expected to hit 12.
So that's surprising because I keep hearing the what's it called? Hey, how the word slipped my mind now. Uh, oh yeah, birth rates. Because I keep hearing in China the birth rates are getting too low because of the effects of the one-child policy. So it's surprising that the number of graduates competing increases. Hmm. Maybe it's because the previous ones that didn't get a job the previous year also added on to that for this year. Probably cause either that or like foreigners coming in, but I doubt many foreigners go to China like to cause like this much of a problem in the job market.
2 million. Parents are facing a new fear. Even a top university might not be guaranteed a job anymore. Here's how desperate it's gotten. In the 2026 round, 3.7 million people qualified to take the civil service exam, all competing for government jobs because they offer stability. In China,
Mm.
we call these iron rice bowls because they don't break. But here's the problem.
Oh,
There aren't 3.7 million government jobs available. When those spots fill up, the competition for other opportunities increase.
28 or
Elite graduates who can't get
28,000.
into civil service have to take whatever they can find, even jobs they would have previously considered below them. And then there's this Haidi Lao Hot Pot, a restaurant chain, started recruiting food delivery workers specifically from 985 and 211 universities, basically having elite graduates deliver.
Bruh, are we serious right now? So in order to work at a restaurant, just delivering food, you need to go to one of the top universities. Are we serious, bro? Are we serious? What is it? Bro, like I'm baffled right now, but it's just the most ridiculous stuff. You know what? Actually, it fits in with like America and South Africa also. With as I mentioned before, like the 5 years of experience, even to to basically work like a what's it called, a beginner job. But it's more crazy though.
delivering hot pot orders. Let that sink in. You spend your childhood studying for the Gaokao. You beat out 98% of your peers to get into Peking University. And then you're competing for a job delivering food. This is why parents are investing in as much educational support as possible. They are working to give their children the best possible start in a changing economy. When employment is uncertain, even for elite graduates, any educational edge becomes even more valuable. But there's a deeper force at work here, something that goes back thousands of years, a piece of cultural DNA that makes this behavior not just rational, but mandatory.
Troll DNA.
There's an ancient Chinese proverb from encouragement to learning. In books, there's a golden house. In books, there's a beauty like jade. 书中只有黄金屋，书中只有暗语用. Education is the path to wealth, status, and marriage. Everything that matters. This isn't just a saying, it's the foundation of Confucian philosophy. Education transforms a person into what Confucius calls a noble person, a 君子. And here's the key difference from Western thinking. Confucianism says effort trumps innate ability. You're not born smart or talented, you become worthy through education and hard work. This isn't the Western find your passion mentality. This is education is the only path.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And there's historical reality behind this belief. For 1300 years, from 605 CE to 1905 CE, China had the imperial civil service examination system. It was the only path to social mobility. Entire villages would pool their resources to send one bright child to take the exam. If that child passed, the family would prosper for generations. If they failed, it was seen as a significant setback for the entire community. That system ended in 1905, but the cultural logic didn't disappear. It just scaled to the modern university system with all the high school grads going through the Gaokao. Today, this shows up in what Chinese people call face, 面子, 面子. Your child's academic success equals family honor.
Family honor.
Your child's failure equals family shame. In the context of China's 4-2-1 family structure, it's all hanging on one person. And here's what 4-2-1
Yeah.
means. The one-child policy created a generation where one
Yeah, it
child
does.
must support 2 parents and 4 grandparents. All family resources, all hopes, all future security are invested
And in this feeling, yo, yo,
in a single child. Education spending typically accounts for 15 to 25% of total household budget for families with children aged 15 to 22. This is the grandparents' retirement plan. This is the parents' social insurance. When there's no robust social safety net, your child's success is your security in old age. Now combine all of this with what sociologists call a collective action problem. Before the ban, tutoring centers used the slogan, "Let us train your children or we will train their competitors." This is what's called a Red Queen effect from Alice in Wonderland, where the Red Queen tells Alice, it takes all the
bro, bro. What a way to market.
is the slogan, "Let us train your children or we will train their
This
competitors."
dirty.
This is what's called a Red Queen effect from Alice in Wonderland, where the Red Queen tells Alice, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. It's like being in a movie theater where the person in front stands up to see things better. Now the second row has to stand up. Eventually, everyone is standing. No one has a better view than before,
Yeah.
but now everyone's legs are tired. This phenomenon even has a name on Chinese social media, involution or 内转. It became one of China's top buzzwords in 2021, and it hasn't stopped trending since. You're running as fast as you can just to stay in the same place. In other words, even if one parent decides to stop paying for tutoring, all the other parents continue. That creates a relative disadvantage for the child whose parents stopped. But if everyone keeps running, No one gains ground, they just spend more. No family can afford to be the only one who stops. This is the logic. Confucian values make education non negotiable. The one child reality means this kid is our only shot. The collective action problem means we can't
Oh,
unilaterally disarm.
stress.
The result? Parents will pay any price. They'll accept any risk, including breaking the law. And what happens when this situation goes underground? Families end up collectively spending more, 10 times more in underground markets for the same competitive outcome. The government banned tutoring to create common prosperity, but in a system of involution, the path you're running on starts to look very different depending on how much money you have in your pocket.
Such a stupid decision. The changing landscape.
When the red market shrinks, the gray and black markets grow to fill the demand gap. But here's the crucial part. Not everyone can access underground markets equally. Think of education as a big ladder. Before the ban, the ladder was crowded and expensive, but the bottom rungs were still within reach for the middle class. If your kid works hard and has talent, they can keep up. After the ban, the way people moved up the education ladder changed. Now you only get on the ladder if you're already tall enough to reach the middle or rich enough to buy your own private elevator. Now, underground markets favor two things: the networks to find hidden tutors and the money to pay top prices. In other words, banning doesn't eliminate inequality, it makes inequality worse by restricting access to
Yeah.
those who can navigate the underground. So, who are the winners? Well, they're the usual suspects: rich families.
So your family is like rich?
We're comfortable.
They can afford the 10 times price increase. Spending 100,000 yuan per year instead of 5,600 yuan, not a problem. They have the WeChat networks to get referrals for good tutors. They can disguise tutors as domestic helpers without raising suspicion. They live in gated
Yeah,
compounds
smart.
where the enforcement is difficult and neighbors won't report them. And they can absorb the risk of a 100,000 yuan fine if they get caught. The other winners? Underground tutors themselves. Former teachers who used to make 5,000 yuan per month are now charging 3,000 yuan per hour. Sure, for tutors who can handle the risk, this is the best paying period in their careers. But for every winner, there are losers. Before the ban, there would be competition among the tutoring centers, and they'll compete for business. As a result, it'll drive prices down and improve their education quality, because they have to get better than their competitors. Now, middle class
Now they
families
don't
are
have to.
struggling. They can no longer afford black market prices. They're now spending more than they did before the ban, but getting a fraction of the tutoring hours. They're caught in the worst possible situation. They can't afford to
It's
compete,
sad.
but they can't afford not to. They lost access to the affordable group tutoring that the red market provided. The underground market requires networks in the city they don't have, and even if they could find a tutor, they can't afford the black market prices with their countryside income. The statistics are significant. In some rural provinces, as many as 3 out of 5 students never make it past compulsory education. Only 1 in 20, or 5%, of rural students.
Wait, what? Damn. 3 out of 5 drop out at grade 8. Hmm.
Get past
I don't know what's the dropout ratings record, but yeah, that's pretty high.
compulsory education. Only 1 in 20.
You know what? Let me actually search it. Side tangent. Dropout rates in grade 8 South Africa. Wait, whoops. Approximately 40% of American learners who begin in grade 1 do not complete metric. Th- now this is grade 12 on grade 8. Rates increase from grade 8 onwards. Okay, just giving me nonsense.
Or 5% of rural students reach university compared to 8 out of 20 or 40% of the urban students. The educational gap between the rich and others widened. This is what sociologists call the reification of inequality. Systems that are meant to reduce inequality instead lock it in. They make inequality feel natural, inevitable, unchangeable. You can ban tutoring, but you can't ban competition when the stakes are survival. But there's another human cost we can't ignore. Those 10 million unemployed tutors aren't villains in this story. They're workers trying to survive in an economy that wiped out their entire industry in a single policy
Yeah,
announcement.
game's
Many of
game.
them are former teachers, trained professionals who spent years mastering their craft.
The only ones I blame in this situation is the government. This is clearly a stupid idea. And The fact that they haven't walked it back may it makes me think they're even more stupid. Because like you see it's clearly not working, but you don't change it back. What are you doing?
and dedicating their careers to education. These were my friends when I was at Penn for grad school in 2013. My cohort mates in the TESOL program were working for these tutoring centers, building real expertise in how students learn. They're trying to make an honest living, doing exactly what they were trained to do. The government created a policy to help families, but in doing so, the rules for an entire industry shifted below the teachers' feet, and many of them had to find new ways to adapt. So how did noble intentions produce the opposite result?
A regulation paradox.
Robert K. Merton was an American sociologist who lived from 1910 to 2003. He spent his career studying how some actions create unexpected outcomes. His core concept was unintended consequences. When governments take deliberate action to fix a problem, complex systems with hidden forces, money, culture, competition, twist the results in unexpected ways. Merton identified three types of unintended consequences. The third one is what's relevant to our story today. He called it perverse results, when your action causes the opposite of what you intended. Merton also
Yeah.
identified 5 reasons why unintended consequences happen: ignorance, error, short term interest, basic value.
Oh, whoops! Did I put it in what's it called? Arknights Enfield. What happened to my thing? Wait. Ah, damn it! And I closed it. Great. How do I change it back? It's ah, on. And oh, okay, I can do it on my phone. Great. Uh, uh, category. Okay, there we go. Nah, I totally forgot. I was just thinking about the stupid Wi-Fi.
Values, and self-defeating prophecy. This video story reflects the regulation paradox. Similar to other historical attempts to manage high-demand markets, China's ban faced the challenge of demand moving into hidden areas. All 5 of Merton's causes are at work here. And here's the thing, we've seen this before. Korea tried this exact policy in 1980. President Chun Doo-hwan banned private tutoring to reduce inequality. The result? Expensive secret tutoring accessible only to
Even that's not an excuse. Another country did this before, and yet you do it. Why do people not learn? But
the wealthy. The policy was phased out within a decade. Today, roughly 4 out of 5 Korean students attend hagwons, private tutoring academies. The market is worth 18.5 billion US dollars. The lesson is simple. When a culture values education this much, policy must address the root causes. China is taking steps to manage the same situation that Korea saw years ago and provided many important lessons for today. They are trying to find a way to make things fair while dealing with the reality of how hard students compete. Korea's past became China's present, and it reveals a fundamental truth about how societies actually work. It is hard to change what people want with just a law. When things change, it's often easier for people with more money to adapt. The Chinese government aimed
yeah,
to support families with this policy. The intentions were noble: ease the burden, promote equality. But as we've seen, it is important to look at the whole system to make sure policies work the way they are supposed to. But this leaves us with a difficult question. If you are a parent in this system, if you knew that your child's entire future and your family's security depended on a single exam, would you find ways to help your child? Would you pay that $500 an hour if it was the only way to keep your child on the ladder? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. How can a country make things fair when it all
I mean,
costs what's
obvious.
at stake? If you like this, check out this video next. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
A little forward before I
I found it goes so fast.
China's tutoring
A great video. Still comments a bit. Life in China, steady work die. Yeah, the government was willing to destroy that market. they could have absorbed those same educators into their system. They have resources to spread education where they desire in a population that is very motivated to be educated. I hope in the future they'll make it so that the great teachers work in rural areas for the yeah. Yep, that makes sense. Root cause society is that society is so competitive. People feel the need to be com- com- people need to compete via tutoring. Ideally, China creates more universities for people to attend to handle the high level of demand and increase the number of middle class and about job to decrease the inconvenience in- incentives to overwork yourself. Guys, I swear I can read. I swear. But yeah, this is such like really it's such a stupid decision. Like who thought this was good, bro? Fire whoever thought this was good. Like